this one, we're going to go ahead and start identifying what the slope and the y-intercept is from looking at a graph. So now we're not looking at a line equation, we're looking at a graph. So our first step is to identify where it crosses the y-axis. So doing this B first usually is easier. So if you think back to what exactly we are looking for, we're looking for where it crosses the y-axis. So if this is the y-axis, we want where it crosses, which is right here at +4. So our B is +4. Now, in order to figure out the slope, we find what I call pretty points. So a pretty point would be where it crosses at right in the middle of two lines. So 4, 0, 0, 4, where that intercept is, that's a pretty point. So we need to find another pretty point. And so I would use this one. And again, we're looking for where it crosses exactly in the middle. For example, like this right here, that's not a pretty point because it crosses in the middle of a number, and we can't identify it correctly and accurately enough to make it work in our equations. So from this point here to this point here, we need to figure out how much we go up and over. So slope is rise over run. So how far you go up or down over the left and right. So if I go from this point that we already identified, and I go 1, 2, 3, that would put me here. So my rise would be 3, because that's the up or down. So then I need to figure out how many over. So that I go over 1, 2 to the positive direction. So I go 3, 2. Now looking at this, I need to decide whether this line is positive, negative, undefined, or 0. So if I look at this, it goes down from left to right. Now, if we think back to what I was saying in the last video about, if you're losing money or gaining money, if it's going down from left to right, it's like we're losing money. So that means this is going to be a negative slope. So in this one, we're going to start by finding out where it crosses that y-axis, which is going to be right here in the middle at 0, 0. So B is 0. Then our next step is to find a pretty point. So I think our prettiest point is going to be here, which is right where it crosses, which is, so we got to figure out how many up and over we go. So again, rise over run. So we're up and down over our left and right. And if we think back to our slope formula, that's our y's, our up and down, over our x's, our left and right. So it makes sense. So I'm going to go from my B point, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my vertical, my up and down is 5, and then over 1, 2, 3. 5 over 3. Then I need to determine if it's positive, negative, or what have you. It's going down from left to right, meaning we're losing money, so it's negative. All right, again, let's look at our y-axis. It crosses right here at 2. So our y-intercept is 2. Then we need to identify a pretty point. I see one right here that I like. So we need to figure out how many up and down we go. So from this intercept, we go down 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 over. And then we go to the left 1. So 3 over 1. And then it goes up from left to right. So it's like we're gaining money. So it's going to be a positive slope. Let's look at another one. So again, our first step is going to be to identify our y-intercept. So where it crosses our y-axis. So looking at this, it crosses right here at 1. All right, and then we need to identify our slope. So it goes straight across. It's a horizontal line. So if we think back to our slope man, our slope is going to be 0, or like a sun coming up over the horizon. So our slope is 0. All right, let's look at this one. So right here is where it crosses that y-axis at 2. And then this is a pretty point right there. So then we go up 1, and then over 1, 2. So 1 over 2, and then it goes up from left to right. So it's going to be positive. So go ahead and try these next couple on your own. So we're going to continue using the same steps that we did before. So starting with our y-axis each time. So in this one, you should have gotten 3. And then if you find another pretty point, which this is a good one right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, over 1, 2, 3. So that's what you should have gotten for the first one. Then this one, our pretty point is smack dab in the middle, so our B is 0. And then here's our other pretty point. So 1 over, and then we count 1, 2, 3, 1/3. So let's go ahead and look at the next one. So identifying our y-axis. So right there at 3 is going to be our y-intercept. And then let's find a pretty point right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1, 2, 3. All right, and then this one. So we don't have a y-intercept. It does not cross that green line anywhere. So we do not have a B. And then our slope goes straight up and down. So in this case, we have an undefined slope. So that one might be a little tricky. How you would see this written, if you were to write this line as a line equation, you would just have x equals 1, 2, 3. So since this is x3, the line would just be x equals 3. And it's a vertical line at 3. Alrighty, so that's the end of this video.